There is a terrifying and beautiful truth about parenting that very few of us fully grasp in the exhaustion and chaos of the early years. We look at our tiny children, infants, toddlers, preschoolers, and we see the immense potential. We see that initial, vibrant spark they are all born with. And way too often, we assume that intelligence is something largely genetica. Biological lottery ticket, they either drew or they didn't. We think our job is just to keep them alive until school starts and then the teachers will handle the learning part. But modern neuroscience has completely shattered that assumption. The science now tells us that up to 90% of what eventually makes a child truly smart, not just their ability to memorize facts, but their resilience, their ability to solve complex problems, their emotional depth, and their capacity for focus isn't just born. It is built. And it is being built right now inside your home, in the quiet, seemingly insignificant moments you think don't matter at all. Before your child blows out the candles on their 7th birthday, the vast majority of their brain's foundational wiring, the very infrastructure of who they will become, will be complete. Today, we aren't talking about flashcards, expensive enrichment apps, or elite preschools. We are going to explore the invisible architecture of intelligence. I'm going to walk you through the essential pillars that construct a brilliant mind and reveal the one crucial element, the hidden cornerstone that almost every parent overlooks until it's too late. Between birth and age 7, your child's brain is in a unique state of hyperdevelopment that it will never experience again. Psychologists sometimes refer to this phase as the wet cement period, but I prefer to think of it as a massive construction site where the crew is working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. In these early years, neural connections, the pathways information travels on, are forming at an astonishing rate. We are talking about over 1 million new neural connections every single second. But here's the crucial part that dictates intelligence. The brain actually overproduces these connections. It creates more than it needs. Then, as the child approaches age 7 and moves into later childhood, a process called pruning begins. The brain looks at which pathways are being used frequently and strengthens them, insulating them like high-speed broadband cables. The pathways that aren't being used get pruned away. They wither and disappear. This is the use it or lose it principle of neuroscience. Every interaction you have with your child, every reaction you show them, every environment you place them in, is telling their brain which pathways to keep and which to discard. You are literally drawing the electrical wiring diagram that will determine how they think, feel, and cope as adults. The question isn't if you are building their brain, you are doing it right now. The question is, what kind of structure are you designing? To build a mind capable of exceptional things, we need to focus on the right materials. And it starts with the most basic human instinct. The first pillar of intelligence is built on the feedback loop of language. There have been enormous, decades-long studies tracking thousands of children across different demographics, and the results are consistently striking. The strongest predictor of future academic success and high emotional intelligence isn't the parent's wealth, their zip code, or their education level. It's the sheer volume and quality of conversational engagement inside the home before kindergarten. But please, don't misunderstand this. This isn't about lecturing your toddler like a university professor or forcing them to parrot back big words from flashcards. That's passive input. Intelligence is built through connection. It's built through what researchers call the serve and return. Your child serves up a sound, a point, or a look. It's very juicy. You aren't just filling silence. If your toddler points to a dog and says doggy, you simply add 1 or 2 descriptors. You say, yes, that is a big, brown, fluffy doggy. When you ask a simple question like, what do you think will happen if we drop this spoon? And then you wait, patiently. Through the silence for their struggling response, you are literally forcing their brain to build new cognitive bridges, to formulate a thought. Smart brains aren't built through commands. They grow through rich, responsive conversation. But here's the catch. A brain cannot build complex cognitive bridges if it feels under attack. This brings us to the second pillar, and perhaps the most misunderstood aspect of raising a smart child: emotional safety. Many parents mistakenly believe that strictness, constant correction, high-pressure environments, or toughening kids up breeds high achievement. Psychology tells us the exact opposite is true in these early years. To understand this, you have to understand the brain's architecture. We also have the modern prefrontal cortex, the CEO of the brain, responsible for logic, planning, and higher-level learning. These two systems work like a seesaw. When the alarm system goes up because a child feels scared, shame, chronically unheard, or unsafe, the thinking brain goes down. It literally goes offline. A brain in survival mode cannot learn complex concepts. It is too busy trying to feel safe again. The smartest children aren't the ones who are terrified to make a mistake because they fear your reaction. They are the ones who feel secure enough to take risks, to explore the edges of their capabilities, and to fail without shame. Emotional safety isn't about being soft or permissive. It's about providing a predictable, calm harbor. It's validating their big feelings. I know you are so mad that tower fell down. So their nervous system can relax enough to let the learning back in. Emotional safety is scientifically proven high-octane fuel for intelligence. Once a child feels connected via language and emotionally safe, their natural instinct is to engage with the world through exploration. And this is where many modern parents get completely derailed. We mistake academic drilling for intelligence, and we dismiss play as a waste of time. We need a massive perspective shift here. Before age 7, play is not a break from serious work. Think about a child trying to build a tall tower out of blocks. They are using executive function to plan ahead. I need the big blocks at the bottom. They are practicing fine motor skills to balance the pieces. And crucially, when the tower inevitably crashes down, they are practicing emotional regulation and frustration tolerance to start over. That is resilience in action. You cannot teach that with a worksheet. When your 5-year-old asks you to play a pretend game with them, where a cardboard box is a spaceship, they aren't asking to be entertained. They are asking for a partner in their development lab to practice abstract thinking and social negotiation. Do not dismiss it. If connection, safety, and play are the structure of the brain, we have to look at the fuel we are feeding the system. This is the battle between active and passive input. In the critical window before age 7, the brain is highly susceptible to overstimulation. Passive screen entertainment where the device does all the work supplies easy dopamine, but it demands very little cognitive effort from the child. Over-reliance on this can shrink attention spans and actually reduce imagination because the screen is generating all the imagery for them. Contrast that with a daily reading habit. It is neuroscience-backed brain fertilizer. 20 minutes a day of sitting together with a physical book doesn't just teach pre-literacy. It's a massive cognitive workout. When you read a story without moving pictures, your child's brain has to actively generate the mental imagery of what's happening. They have to hold the plot line in their working memory. When you read with expression, stop to ask questions, and let them turn the pages. You are building a mind that can think beyond what is immediately obvious. Limit the passive. Maximize the active. You can do all of these things. You can talk, read, play, and create safety. But there is one final element that overrides everything else. It is the secret cornerstone that most parents miss because it requires the most of us. The uncomfortable reality is this. Children do become smart based on what they hear you tell them to do. They become smart based on what they see you do. They're constantly downloading your operating system. If you want a child who is a lifelong reader, they need to see you reading for pleasure, not just scrolling your phone on the couch. If you want a curious child, they need to hear you asking questions about the world, admitting when you don't know something, and showing excitement to find the answer. If you want a child who can solve problems emotionally and calmly, they need to see you facing a frustration-burned dinner, a traffic jam without exploding into rage. We cannot ask our children to develop regulation and focus skills that we are unwilling to model ourselves. In fact, it's better if you aren't. Modeling how you repair a mistake, "I'm sorry I yelled. I was frustrated, let me try that again," is one of the most powerful lessons in emotional intelligence you can ever give them. Building the architecture of a brilliant mind before age 7 is a heavy responsibility. It feels overwhelming, but the beauty of it is that it doesn't require perfection. It doesn't require expensive toys, organic-only diets, or elite preschools. It requires presence. It requires patience. And it requires the intentional decision to see these everyday moments. The messy play, the quiet stories, not as interruptions, but as the very bricks and mortar of their future selves. You are nurturing that electrical spark they were born with into a steady, resilient flame. If you want to dive deeper into the psychology of how your child grows and get practical, science-based tools to navigate these crucial early years without losing your mind, make sure you hit that subscribe button right now. We are building a community of parents dedicated to raising not just smarter kids, but whole, healthy human beings. I'll see you in the next video.